Ladies, gentlemen, and raiders of all ages, one of the best ways to set yourself up long-term in Arc Raiders is to get lots and lots of blueprints. If you have your workshops upgraded, you can craft some immensely powerful equipment, but only if you have the recipe to craft it to begin with. A bunch of these recipes are tied to the workshops themselves being upgraded, but most of them come from blueprints, which you pick up, you interact with, and then it teaches you the crafting recipe moving forwards. A fun bonus is if you already have that blueprint learned, it's not like it's a waste if you find another one, because blueprints actually sell for a fair amount of money too, or you can just hand them out to your friends if they need them, or even random players just to get some good karma on your side. Or it's worth mentioning for the expeditions, when you're at that stage of just loading up as many materials as possible, blueprints can be used for that too. That said, blueprints can come from any loot container in the game if you have enough luck on your side, but they have much higher chances of coming from specific types of containers or specific locations that have higher value loot drops in general. Today we're going to break down various ways of getting blueprints. I'll show you a couple of specific very low traffic, high blueprint chance spots, as well as lay out a sort of route if you're feeling a bit frisky enough to try some of the riskier, more populated areas for the chance at multiple blueprints in a single raid. Starting off then, let's quickly go over the places that blueprints have higher or guaranteed chances of coming from. There are 3 guaranteed ones from quests, which are the lure grenade, the trigger grenade, and then also the hullcracker and hullcracker ammo blueprint. All of these are tied to quest completions. Likewise, the harvester map event that happens occasionally is the only source of Jupiter blueprints and equalizer blueprints, which is the other legendary energy weapon. Outside of that, the rest of the blueprints are chance-based, but we'll be putting the chances in our favor in any way we can. First things first, for the loadout you bring for these, if you're only going to check one place and then dip immediately afterwards, you can bring the absolute minimal loadout. A little bit of healing, a little bit of shield charging, a weapon that can handle what you need, but not one that you'd be sad to lose, and just a basic light shield and green augment. For any raid that you expect to visit multiple places searching for multiple blueprints, I instead recommend getting the Loot Mark II augment, as it's not that expensive to craft once you have Gearbench level 2 unlocked in your workshop, and it gets you a whole second butt pouch. And the big thing with farming for specifically blueprints is the only things that you really care about are the blueprints, so double the butt pouch is double the amount of blueprint space that you can take out, even if everything does go sideways and you die. No matter what, your stuff in your pouch comes out, and that means the blueprints that you're searching for when you're looking for these right now. Aside from that, important notes as well, night raids are always better for things that rely on loot quality, and blueprints definitely seem to have higher drop chances in night raids from my own experiences. That said, blueprints have much higher chance of showing up in anything that is considered a raider container. The main ones that counts for this as the highest chance options are the weapon cases. These have set potential spawn locations but don't spawn in each location every single raid, except for a few guaranteed locations of them, which is inside of either the puzzle rooms like the puzzles on Bluegate, which we cover in its entirety in this other video that's already up on the channel if you want to know more, because that's just way too much to add on here, or also inside of some of the locked rooms that require keys to get into. I find the purple rarity keys are either guaranteed weapon case or near guaranteed, and lesser rarity keys have lower chances. Aside from those, there's the raider caches, the buried caches, the little blue boxes that make ticking noises you can come across. When one is near you, they make a very, very distinct sound. Once I learned this sound personally, I started finding loads of these raider caches quite frequently just because I'm running towards an objective and then I hear the ticking sound and bam, bonus loot, even without knowing that it could be in that spot ahead of time. And these have a heightened chance of blueprint drops, which makes them relevant to the topic at hand, and these also have set potential spawn locations, but don't spawn in each location every single raid. The other raider containers are things like grenade cases, which are these little cylinders that usually have grenades in them. These also have higher blueprint drop chances than most things, but seemingly less than the first two options. And I've also heard people say that the red lockers count as raider containers, but I've never seen a blueprint come from one of these yet personally, at least not one that wasn't already a high value loot area where any container has increased chances to have a blueprint to begin with. On that note, outside of those lootables, any room that you have to put in a little bit of extra work to get into generally has higher loot chances, and this means significantly improved chances of blueprint drops. That sort of counts for the key and puzzle rooms that we just talked about, but it also explicitly counts for any room that requires breaching a door to enter, like doors that you have to breach and then it's just stuff to loot inside of them. Those all have increased loot quality. Same goes for any room where the only way to enter it is some sort of parkour, whether it be jumping off of a zip line or jumping into a window from another building or anything of that variety really. And these areas are also usually recognizable by having really high weapon case spawn chances too. None of them have 100% that I'm aware of, probably closer to like 50%, but that's still higher than the general random weapon case spawn rates around the map. That said, any loot container in rooms like this has a decent chance at being a blueprint spawn, so they are super relevant. But then of course the thing to weigh against that is danger. If all you actually want is blueprints, you can specify your locational objectives in a way that no one else would really care that much about going there unless they were also specifically looking for blueprints. Or you can go scattershot method instead, hit as many places that are possible of dropping blueprints regardless of the danger. That said, one really fun spot for the first option there of just a hyper specialized blueprint farming place that no one else will really go to is on the Dam Battlegrounds map. Right here is the edge of a derelict bridge. From the very edge of the bridge, if you walk off from this spot, just tapping backwards one step at a time very carefully, the moment you fall off, hold forward and hold down the vault button, and if your angle was correct when you fell, you will grab onto the ledge and pop in here. This place is meant to only be accessible with a zip line or a snap hook, but this bypasses it entirely, and this is a super high spawn chance weapon case, minimum of 50%, if not higher chances, and I have gotten blueprints in here before. You can also have ammo cases in here, med bags, grenade cases, so there's always some level of value in this little hole. And you can literally, if you want, just do raids where you go in with 5 adrenaline shots, run to here from wherever you spawn, stick what you care about in your safety pouch, and then extract immediately. Simple as that. Similar wavelength on the Buried City map. A super underrated high value loot room is right here at Murano Station on the north side. There's a breachable door here that is basically just a little storage room, but this has a decently high weapon case spawn rate. It has 2 breachable containers inside, and often a grenade canister or something like a med bag as well instead. But the point is that any of these containers in this room have increased blueprint chances because this tiny little room has to be breached into. This means it's a higher value loot area, and at least at the time of making this, I have not been contested for the loot in this room even one single time. That makes this another spot that's great for just hitting up this one singular place from wherever you spawn on the map, then hitting up an extract immediately if you got loot worth keeping. But this is where we start to get a bit more complex with it all, because the Buried City itself as a map is absolutely juicy for both weapon case spawns and high value rooms that are both relatively easy to access and quite close together, which makes it ideal for a full route of checking blueprint capable containers one by one. If you do this, I want to be clear, you should keep going until you have your safety pouches full of blueprints you care about, and then exactly one more blueprint past that. The safety pouch blueprints will always make it out even if you die, so they're basically not a risk, so as long as you have those slots, your blueprints are safe. That means if you have the looting Mark II augment, you can hold 2 blueprints safely, so in that scenario, I'd say the second that you find a third blueprint you care about, you want to extract immediately. No matter what part of this route you're at, you want to save the things you care about. I'll be showing the locations that you want to hit up one at a time from west to east across the map, and if you spawn on the east side instead of west, you can just do them in reverse. It doesn't really matter. You can hit up all the ones that you want to do. You can omit some if you think they're too dangerous or you don't think they're worth it. I'm just here to give you the information on these spawns themselves in a nice straight line. You can use it however you actually want. That said, starting on the west side, the first spot to hit up is the one that we just talked about as a good single spot extract run, up by Murano Station on the north side, the breachable door here. After that, you want to head over to the house over here. On the roof, there is an attic window that you can enter very easily, and right above the entry from the inside up to the attic, there is a potential weapon case spawn over here. Jump back out of the window you went in to come here, drop down to the ground level, and jump into the window across the street, and right in this corner is another potential weapon case spawn. Then jump back out the window, take a right turn, and hop in the window across the street in the building dead ahead. Rappel up the rope in here in the little staircase to skip the staircase, and then on the top floor, in the kitchen, on the counter itself, is a potential weapon case spawn location. Exit this building out of the window right beside here to get to a sheet metal bridge, cross it to the rooftops, and then drop down to this area here for a zip line that goes across. Jump off of the zip line onto the metal platform, and this is a high value loot room on your map as well. Any container in here has a decent chance of holding a blueprint, and there are at least 2 potential weapon case spawn locations in this room as well. Southwest of here, outside the west side of the Grandioso apartments in the bushes here, is a potential raider cache spawn location. Then slightly southwest of that, in front of this vehicle here, is another potential raider cache spawn location. Listen for the sound, the ticking. If you don't hear it, just keep running. If you're feeling spicy, there are 2 potential weapon cases on the rooftops of the Grandioso apartments, one at the top of the stairs in the north building, tucked around the corner on the right of this unit here, and one spawn can be on top of the south building on the roof above the stairs themselves over here. But these buildings are generally quite full of players, and for 2 very low chance weapon cases, I'd say that's probably a bit dangerous to do. Moving on, our next spot is a super low traffic area for the actual value it can offer. I've never seen another player here as of yet, and it's another breachable door high value loot area in this building on your map. Simply go up to the top floor, and then there are 2 entrances to the room itself. Either one requires breaching, and then there's a bunch of cabinets and drawers and stuff inside, potential weapon case spawn, duffel bags, grenade cases, stuff like that, and decent chances at a blueprint drop as it is a high quality loot room in general. The next spot then I've noticed being a bit higher player traffic recently, so it's not the safest anymore, but I'd still say it's safer than Grandioso Apartments and more worth it because there's a much higher chance of getting stuff that you want from it. It's also safer than some of our other things on the list too, but this building here is a secret loot room. You come to the south rooftop, you climb up, and then from here you can jump into the window of the building across, turn 180, and repeat this to jump back into the window of the south building. This is the high value loot area. 2 potential weapon case spawns in here that I know of personally, and every container in here has higher than average blueprint drop chances too. Over here by these trees, this is a potential raider cache spawn. Then in this alleyway here is a potential raider cache spawn as well. Listen for the sound. If there's no sound, keep moving. In Plaza Rosa over here, the building on the east side right over there is a pharmacy. There is another pharmacy we'll be talking about in a minute, but I want to preface this by saying these pharmacies are high value loot areas the whole way down. But unlike the previous secret rooms, they are multiple floors of loot, multiple rooms of loot, and lots of places to search that all can have blueprints. But these are also much more well known by the community and much more traveled by players because they're great for things that aren't just blueprints. So you're not unlikely to get in a fight if you come to a pharmacy. But the sheer density of containers in a high value loot area like this makes it a great blueprint farming zone if you are willing to take on that risk. And it also is great for stuff like money farming or med items and stuff like that too. Just for the sake of mentioning it, you do have to breach the door to get in these pharmacies to begin with too, which is part of how we can tell that it is a higher value loot area. Just northeast of here then is the Red Tower. This is an area that I find players in sometimes, but not too frequently. If you enter from the east side, there's a window that you can go in, and then just up the stairs is a small, high-value loot area. There's red lockers, there's a potential weapon case spawn by the railing of the staircase itself, and then if you head out the hole in the wall, up the ladder, and then take a right turn, and then around the corner on the right again, against this wall is another potential weapon case spawn location. This building over here, just a bit northeast of that, is easily entered from the east side on the roofs through a little hole in the wall, and again, the railing of the staircase right here is a potential weapon case spawn. Then the final spot of note is right here in Piazza Arbusto. On the east side of the road, there is another pharmacy. This one I find is a little bit less commonly traveled than the first pharmacy we talked about, but still decent chances of encountering other players, so it's a bit of danger, but tons of high value loot containers with chances of blueprints. Those are all the places that you can sort of go to in one by one in a line. Generally, if you're trying to be as quick as possible, I'd recommend just picking the closest high value loot room to where you spawn, whatever that is. Get there before anyone else, clean out all the valuable stuff, then continue along the path until you have stuff valuable enough that you'd be upset if you died, and then extract wherever that point is for you.
And just a little extra from me here from a recent fairly nice discovery is surveyors. Obviously, they're difficult to specifically go after and farm. You only get a couple per map. They move around a lot, though you can spot them nicely with the blue beam in the sky. But in any case, surveyors do have a fairly good chance at dropping blueprints, so if you ever do see one rolling around and you have the means to lock it down and kill it, well, it's worth doing, as you might be looking at a little blueprint container in a ball shape. So do keep that in mind.
Finally, the last thing I want to mention then is the trials system. This is unlocked at level 15. You get 5 trials every week for specific objectives. This does not add up across multiple raids. Your high score is the best that you achieve in one single raid, and you have to successfully extract for it to count as well. If you get enough points in any given trial, you will get rewards, as you can see from the boxes at the bottom. These are often weapons, but sometimes they can be blueprints, and so it's worth trying your hand at these, at least the easier trials each week, for the chance at getting 3 stars, for the purple reward, even just for the chances at blueprints, if for no other reason. And that pretty much does it for today then, everyone. A guide to blueprint farming in Arc Raiders, going over all the basic information you need about blueprints, some general tips for the process, the places that these can come from in various ways and varying likelihoods, and then just a proper full route for if you're daring enough to hit up multiple value little loot locations in the same raid. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and hopefully it helps you fill up your catalog of blueprints a little bit quicker than you have been up to this point. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.